Well, welcome on into the sports news. I spent this past weekend in Chicago watching my son play baseball. Oh, and the Chicago White Sox as well, as I went to the, well, they used to call it Comiskey Park. Got a suntan and a shirt to boot. Yeah, pretty excited about that and excited to bring you the sports news. It's powered by the Red Zone over on Regent Street and Conan Automotive. Your headlines are next. Stick around. The sports news straight ahead on 57 Sports. All right, time now for the headlines. Your look into the tackles, hits, checks, and dunks that make up the local sports scene. I am your host, Rich Reynolds, and as always, let's hit the ground running. You know, I'm going to date myself a little bit here and let you know that back when I was a freshman in high school, there was no three-point line in basketball. I know. All right, it seems unthinkable to most today, but it's true. Then for my sophomore year, the line was instated. People hemmed and hawed, but the game survived and thrived. Well, now the WIAA is bringing the 35-second shot clock to prep basketball starting in the 2019-20 season. The WIAA board voted 6-4 to make Wisconsin the 9th state to use the shot clock in high school hoops, joining the likes of North and South Dakota, California, and Rhode Island. Personally, I feel this is a move that is long overdue. It always seems that the best basketball is always played at a quicker tempo. Well, speaking of hoops, with former Badger guard Bronson Koenig joining the roster of the Milwaukee Bucks Summer League team and potentially hooking up with the G League herd, the Bucks stayed in the news, re-signing swingman Tony Snell. Snell was inked to a 4-year, $44 million deal. Snell started 80 games last season in Milwaukee and averaged a career best 8.5 points per game. Well, last week on this show, we had a chance to chat with the head coach and GM of the Madison Radicals, Tim DeBile, as we previewed a first-place showdown in the American Ultimate Disc League's Midwest Division. And the Brees Stevens faithful were treated to total Radical domination. Better than 1,400 fans watched Saturday night as Madison crushed the Minnesota Wind Chill 21-13 for the Rads' 5th straight win. They also took over in the division, that's first place that is, and have guaranteed a home playoff game. Now we're going to have Tim DeBile back here on our show today to recap the big win. Well, the Wisconsin State Journal and Wisconsin Prep Zone selected their boys and girls prep athletes of the year this past weekend. Ladies first, as we are happy to report that Britta Hovde of Madison Edgewood took the honor. Yeah, Hovde was amazing this past year, helping the Crusaders basketball team win state as a singles player, also on the tennis team that won state, and she was a leading scorer for the soccer team that went to the semis at state. That's not too shabby. By the way, Hovde was a WIAA Scholar athlete to boot. Over on the boys' side, River Valley's Dustin Hatfield won the award. And one of my favorite Madisonians, former Badger basketball coach John Paulus, who will be 85 in August, won a seniors tennis tournament on clay in Brasilia, Brazil this weekend, and maintained his #1 ranking for octogenarians in the entire world. Incredible, and might I add, way to go, John. Well, for more information on our headlines and all the 411, check out these fine non-fake news websites. Stick around, we have more interviews than anyone else. That's coming up next right here on the Sports News on Wisconsin's 57 Sports. You know, when we talk a little bit wrestling here on 57 Sports, I almost feel like I should defer to my buddy Joe Miller, who has got it down cold and is very involved. But anyways, I'm going to try and delve into this as we bring in Tyler and Nazar there with the Badger Regional Training Center. And welcome on in to the program, fellas. And if you could, what is the Badger Regional Training Center and how do you explain it to somebody who really isn't like involved with wrestling?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for having us, by the way. The Badger Regional Training Center is a USA Wrestling sanctioned training center in Madison, Wisconsin. And so what we really try to do is we try to develop wrestlers at 3 different categories, from the high school level, the college, and then the senior level like Nazar. And so what we try to do is we try to become a really, really good training center which will move along all of the categories of wrestling.
Now, is this something that's only done at Wisconsin, or is this done at other universities too?
Yeah, just a little bit of history of About 10 years ago, the USA Wrestling and the Olympic Committee decided to change the structure of regional training centers from a centralized location to all these all over the country. And so over the last 2 to 5 years, there's been a lot of training centers popping up all over the country. So it's not just at Wisconsin. And so if you looked at the top 15 in the NCAA championships, 14 of those, only one didn't have a regional training center that was significant, and that was Wisconsin. And so we're really looking forward to seeing what happens with a regional training center.
Oh, wow, that's a significant impact for sure. So, Nazar, let's go to you now. How did you get involved with the BRTC, and what's your role over there right now?
Well, my goal and dream to be a world and Olympic champion, and I have to do it in this level. And I was living in Wisconsin, and the closest training situation was here, Wisconsin, UW, Wisconsin, and now we had just made it, switched from RTC to Badger Regional Training Center, and it's the best opportunity to have for me in order to reach my goals. I have a great support system and was pretty close to home, so that's why.
Now, specifically, how does the BRTC help the wrestling community here in Wisconsin?
Well, just like Tyler mentioned, there's the 3 categories as a high school, college, and senior level. So high school kids this summer come over and train with us, which helps them to, get better and move up to the next level. So if we start helping them out, wrestling in Wisconsin just grows and grows, to college level all the way to senior level. And I'm happy to, share some knowledge with younger guys, and they're happy to learn.
Absolutely. Fellas, our time's running short. We got about 10 seconds. If someone wants to support the BRTC, how do they do that?
Yeah, go to our website, and you'll see some great stuff on there to get the word out and also to support us financially. We can't do it alone, and we need your help.
Excellent stuff. Hopefully people get involved. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yep, thank you.
Brought to you by Conan Automotive, taking care of you by taking care of your family's car.
Here's a sport I actually love talking about. We're going to talk some cross country right now, a sport that my son's looking to get involved with. I had an ex-girlfriend that ran cross country, but I absolutely love it. I mean, these people are in such great shape. Lots of good competition as we bring in Greg Rittman. He is the head coach of the girls cross country team over at Madison East. And welcome on in, Coach. And let's talk about, your background with East cross country.
This is my 5th year coaching at East. I started out as an assistant coach. My 2 daughters were going to school at East, and we needed an assistant coach for Bethany Alwa, who was the head coach at that time. And I said, okay, I'll be an assistant coach. And that worked pretty well. I had fun being able to coach my 2 daughters. And then once Bethany decided that she needed to move on, I was there and was able to move in as head coach. So my 3rd year now as head coach at East, and I'm just loving it. It's a great time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's always fun to be able to train a team and be involved in a sport that you like. Yeah. And so when we talk about East cross country for the girls, what's their history? I mean, every program's got kind of, ebbs and flows and all that kind of stuff. What's the history of the program there?
Well, we've had, our number of really quality runners at East, not quite the heavy-duty tradition that a lot of the Big 8 schools, if you look at West or Middleton or maybe Sun Prairie. We've been a really big participation sport at East for a number of years. Chantel Davies, Chantel Smith at the time, really did a great job. She was head coach for so many years and really got the program going. We certainly had our great runners at East. Claire Brixton went to state a number of years, I think 3 or 4 years when she was at East. And then we transitioned and kind of moved on. And Bethany took over as head coach, and Colleen Milligan has been our star runner since then. And she's gone to state her freshman year, her sophomore year. Past year she wasn't able to go to state because of injuries, but we've had some really strong runners and really proceeding with that and making that move to strong runners in the future here.
Yeah, but besides her, who else is a top returning runner for this season?
Yeah, Colleen will be a senior this year, so looking for big things for her to really step up again and do some strong stuff for us after that injury. I hope I've seen her in the last couple of weeks and she's doing really well. But we've got other really strong runners. Last year, a freshman, Izzy Blanchard, really came forward. And when Colleen was hurt, she took over as our #1 runner, and she'll be back. She'll be a sophomore this year. She's out running in Montana right now, which is a great place to train. But other than her, we've got Claire Mazik will be a senior, Cherie Paulson-Eilenfeld will be a senior, Evelyn Betts will be a strong runner for us. Also, Rachel Hughes, really strong runner, and Xenia Boss, a freshman coming in. So, you know, we've got a really solid group that will be running for varsity, and I think we've got some freshmen, from what I hear. Haven't seen them run yet, but we've got some 9th graders coming in that will be really strong from O'Keefe, Blackhawk, and Sherman, so that should be exciting.
Well, Coach, our time went as fast as hopefully your runners go this season. Good luck this upcoming year. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you very much.
A special thank you to Conan Automotive in Stoughton for supporting local athletics.
Hey, welcome back to the Sports News. We're really excited to have Lisa Thompson join us today. Hey, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hey, Keith, thank you for having me.
So in 2016, you made your decision to leave your secure corporate job and become an alpinist and start climbing.
Yeah, I started climbing in 2009. That was the first year that I summited Mount Rainier, and climbing for me started to be a way that I built my self-confidence and learned a lot about myself as a person. That became really important for me because in 2015 I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and as I fought through that, the mountains took on a much broader meaning for me because I found a lot of strength and healing there. And so I made the decision after I beat cancer to just reevaluate my life, to not live with any regrets, and ultimately that led me to the decision to put my corporate career on hold for a bit while I focused on climbing.
What initially got you involved with climbing? Did you climb before you had cancer?
I didn't. I moved to Seattle many years ago, and climbing is part of the culture of this community. We see Mount Rainier often, and when I started spending more time in the mountains, it taught me more about myself. It pushed me, I was able to determine what my boundaries are and what my limits are and grow more as a person, and that's something that I really relish.
So when you climbed Mount Everest, when you summited Mount Everest, what was the biggest challenge when you did that?
There are a lot of challenges on a big mountain like Everest. There are also a lot of things that I just can't control. And one of the things that became important for me on Everest was to just think about what was within my control, which basically boils down to just my attitude and staying healthy. On Everest, I learned that my mind and my body are so much stronger than I'll ever know, and that we're all capable of so much more than we believe. And despite setbacks, which in my life have ranged from having cancer to suffering from dry eye symptoms, if I set the right goal and work really hard, I can accomplish incredible things. That's why my next goal in the mountains is K2, which is in Pakistan.
Yeah, so K2, we all know about Everest. It's the popular mountain, the highest mountain, highest peak in the world. But what's the challenge about K2? Why do you want to become the first American woman to summit K2?
That allure of doing something that hasn't been accomplished by an American woman is big for me. And the idea of doing that, it's exhilarating just sitting here today thinking about it, because I will not only accomplish a personal goal, but I'll also break some boundaries for women, and that's important for me too.
That's pretty awesome. It's awesome to hear. And when you're up there in the mountains, and correct me if I'm wrong, but being an alpinist, mountaineering, it takes a little bit of suffering to.
It does a lot.
With your past and overcoming cancer, how has that helped you in the mountains? Does that help?
It's taught me that no matter what life throws at me, that I can be successful in just about any environment. And as I prepare for K2, I'm thinking about what success will mean on that mountain, particularly as I'm packing and thinking about the gear that I'll take with me there. Because mountains are harsh and dry, that exasperates my dry eye symptoms. So one of the most important things that will be in my pack is Sustain, because I know that it will give me relief temporarily from those dry eye symptoms and allow me to climb successfully.
Oh, so when you're doing this and packing, are you packing just for yourself, or are you going with the team? Are
Yeah, I'm going with a team that are mostly my friends, and I'm really happy and excited that Sustain is the official sponsor of my K2 climb. So I would love it if your audience would follow us along on this not so typical summer adventure. We'll be posting updates on the Sustain Facebook page, which is Sustain Lubricant Eye Drops.
Awesome. And what makes K2 such a challenge? Why is it the hardest peak?
It's a very technical and committing climb with a lot of objective hazards. So tune in and you can hear more about it this summer.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Lisa, and we'll all stay posted, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Keith. Have a great day.
You too.
You know, usually when we're talking to the Radicals, it's Tim DeMille who is here and kind of who I was expected, but we do a little bit better. We get someone who's actually out on the field a little bit more right now, and that's Pat Schreiwise, who is joining us from the Madison Radicals. And Pat, thanks for being here, and if you could, talk about this game you guys had the past weekend against the Wind Chill. Back in first place, big win, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was huge for us. So it clinches a home playoff game for us coming up on August 12th, which is great. We need to close out the rest of the season still. Our defense played awesome last night and took us up 6-1 early in the game, and we just rode that lead out throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense. The defense has been amazing. You guys set a record last week, gave up only 13 goals last week or in this past game. Why is the defense clicking in so much right now at this part of the season?
You know, we were a little bit off at the beginning of the season, and I think we all just recognized that and started putting in the work and just came out as a team and started playing full games, which is really big. So.
Yeah, it was amazing to actually see that you guys had 2 losses. One was actually at home, which almost never happens over at Breese Stevens Field. You know, Breese Stevens is kind of a home field advantage for you guys, isn't it? You guys are drawing some good crowds.
Yeah, we had, I think, a little over 1,400 last night, which is great, and we've been cracking that 1,000 mark pretty consistently at our home games throughout the season, if the weather's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
That helps.
Yeah, but it's been really good support. You know, a lot of people have been asking me, hey, ask the guys about Marquise Mason, and Mason played with the Badgers on the football team. How has he been doing his first year of doing this? How has he made that transition? This is a different sport.
Yeah, it is, and he's doing really well. He's learning really fast. He's picking up the sport really well, and he brings a mentality to our team, which is really nice. You know, coming from those organized, that D1 sport, and bringing that mentality to us, and it's really awesome to have that. So.
Very cool, yeah. And hopefully that's going to translate even more for you guys going forward. Let's talk about the rest of the way. Home stretch coming up for you guys. Who are you guys facing off again? What are the big games that are left?
Well, we got Chicago coming up next weekend, I believe, and then later in the month we have Family Day on July 23rd. Against, I'm trying to remember who.
Is it Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's always a big game. I know you guys have a bit of a rivalry with them, so that's always cool. So you get the guaranteed playoff game, which I'm sure we'll be there covering that one, all that kind of good stuff. You guys can make it this year to Montreal. That's where the finals are going to be held. Talk about like what kind of incentive that is to make it to such a cool city.
Well, it's really awesome. We got to go to Toronto in 2014, I believe, and that was really cool. And we just want to go back and have that experience again as a team. And Montreal's a whole different city. They draw really big crowds there. Everybody's really into it. Justin Trudeau is into it. There's been pictures of him with Royale jerseys on Twitter, which is awesome. So we would love to be able to be there that weekend.
Excellent stuff. Hopefully you guys will make it. I'm sure you guys got a pretty good chance at that. Thanks for joining us, man. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
A special thank you to Conan Automotive in Stoughton for supporting local athletics.
You know, we've been talking a lot recently about the CrossFit Games that are coming to Madison. In that spirit, we bring in Brian Welker, who is with CrossFit Conics, and you might have seen him on some of our other shows. He's been on Girl Talk, Talk of the Town, Wisconsin Family. He's a veteran at this, I am sure, but new to our program. So welcome on in, Brian. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for coming. And we've been talking about it here in the show. The CrossFit Games are coming to Madison. I'm guessing the CrossFit Games can go just about anywhere. Why do you think they chose Madison as a site for this year's games?
So Madison's a great community for this this type of event. We're known to be one of the fittest cities in the country, and the community is just open to all these athletic events like Ironman and things like that. So all the restaurants and the breweries and everything in Madison, and the landscape just seems to be great for this type of event, bringing thousands of people in from around the world to come
Yeah,
visit.
Madison's a great fit for a lot of that, supports a lot of different sports as well. With the CrossFit Games coming, who's actually competing in the events themselves?
So in the events, there are a few divisions. There's some teens, masters, teams, and then the open division, which is the best of the best in the world. So all these different divisions are going to be the top 1% of these CrossFit athletes from across the world.
Now, I know one of the cool things about Madison is that people like to get involved. They like to be active in their local sports. How can viewers get involved in something like the CrossFit Games?
Definitely. So it's all going to be at the Align Energy Center. They have festival tickets that last the entire weekend in August. You can come check it out and watch some of the events, especially with the teens and masters. You'll get to see all their stuff. And then any of the outdoor events, but just kind of being around town, you're gonna see all these spectators from around the world checking out what Madison has to offer as far as restaurants and the environment. So just kind of introduce yourselves, make them feel welcome, and over the next couple of years, they're gonna be coming back, and we wanna make it a great place for them to visit.
Huge venue there at the Align Energy Center. What are some of the things to do while you're at the games?
So there's a great vendor village. You can kind of see some of the different equipment that all the athletes are going to be using, as well as some of the gear. And then they're going to have a beer garden, so you can come enjoy a beverage with some friends, watch the events on some big screens, and just kind of see the fittest community in the world come together to watch these athletes.
Very cool. We got about 20 seconds left. Brian, if people are thinking about getting involved in CrossFit, how do they do that? Why should they do that?
Check out CrossFit Connex or any of the other CrossFit affiliates in Madison. You should get started because you want to be fit. You want to be able to do the things that you can do with your friends and family outside of the gym, play sports, run around, have fun with your family.
All sounds great. Good stuff coming to Madison. Brian, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
A special thank you to Conan Automotive in Stoughton for supporting local athletics.
Big thank you to all of our guests who came on the program today. Also a thank you to our sponsors that make it possible, especially the Red Zone over on Regent Street and Conan Automotive in Stoughton. We thank you for watching as well. I'm gonna go get some aloe vera for this mess on my face, hopefully to be cleared up by next week. Yes, we'll see you next time right here on the Sports News on Wisconsin's 57 Sports.